Around the world, there's probably thousands of people dreaming about being a pro mountain biker. And for many, that comes along in their teenage years when they've got to think about some really important decisions, what they want to do for a living, what their future entails. And for people that love riding their bike, surely turning that into what they're getting paid for is the dream. So let's take a look at a pretty special team that's trying to help some youngsters turn their dream into a reality on the British race scene. These days, there's loads of different types of mountain bike pros. They might be social media athletes, free riders, or racers. Today, we're at a British downhill race, a scene that I know well. I did these for 15 years, and they were a really important part in my pathway of turning pro. The UK has always had a really strong pro scene, especially in downhill mountain biking, but it's the juvenile, youth and junior categories going to bring on the next generation of pro mountain bikers. But what does a good young rider need when it comes to turning pro? Well, talent, of course, some speed, some luck, and definitely some support, and that's what we're going to take a look at today. Right, Luca, how long have you been racing?
So I started racing first year juvenile, which was back in 18, I think, which I did my first year of nationals. It rained every national we went to, so I got a nice experience of the British weather.
And what's your top result on British races?
So British races, my best result is a second, which I got at Kerzeus last year, and then I managed to snap another second at Anta the round after, but yet to win a national.
But then you stepped up your race in Junior World Cups. So how did that go, Fort William?
Yeah, so had to step up to World Cups this year. Obviously raced Lords and didn't have the best race, which just didn't feel as confident. And then had a much better race at Fort William, managed to grab a P10, which I was over the moon about.
How does that feel like going from like the British national stuff, the junior stuff, to up to racing the same track as the best riders you see in the world? How does that feel? Is it like a big step for you, or does it feel natural?
Yeah, I think it is a big step. You feel a little bit out of place, I guess, at first. Obviously, as I said earlier, it's like a confidence thing. We're learning.
So is it the dream for you to become a pro downhill racer?
It would be nice, wouldn't it? I think it'd be nice to get paid to ride bikes, but yeah, it's definitely been a dream. Just got to keep plugging away and see what happens.
Yeah, is there anything you think that you could do to make that dream come true? Like, is there anything you know you need to work on, like training or bike setup or anything specific you think what the pros are doing something that you can't do yet? I
think I don't want to be that guy to say it, but a lot of it is the bike setup. I'm not going to blame all their speed on that. Obviously, they're very talented people, and they're in the gym a lot. Been in the gym quite a lot in the off season, a lot of trail rides. But yeah, there's definitely more work to do, trying to fit it all in with college work.
The talent runs deep in the British downhill pits. Steve Peat is a true veteran of the sport. PT racked up 17 World Cup wins, 3 World Cup overalls and a World Championship over the course of his 30-plus year career. The man from Sheffield is a legend and, like many others, began his career riding down wet and muddy hillsides in the United Kingdom. Maybe the hottest UK rider of the moment, Greenland took the win here at Llangollen this weekend, building on a strong start to the World Cup season with a second in Lord and a third place at Fort William. From Bristol, the Val de Sol 2019 World Cup winner certainly benefited from easy access to the steep and tech tracks of South Wales. Danny Hart, you probably remember that run from Champery 2011, and if you don't, you should watch it on YouTube as soon as you can. Danny Hart is another Brit right at the sharp end of the sport. A 2-time world champion and consistently placing in the top 10 World Cup overall for the last 10 years. Matt Walker, the Shropshire local, won the overall World Cup title in 2020 and backed this up with solid results in 21 and early 2022. A junior world champion in 2017 and a UK national champion in 2018, the young rider is often found on the podium at British downhill races. It's clear that young riders at UK Nationals have a wealth of talent to look up to.
I spoke to PT about his experience turning pro and a little bit how these grassroots racers could do the same. Right, Steve, you helped me out when I turned pro. You've done it with a lot of youths, a lot of really good riders like Brendan Fairclough, Mark Beaumont, Josh Bryceland,
Stu, Hughes, not Hughes.
Thompson. But we're talking about those kids jumping from being like juniors, teenagers to turning pro. It's a really hard thing. I guess when you did it, you were a bit older than that. But you've seen a lot of pro, youngsters go through that. What does it take, jumping from just being a fast kid to turn into actually being a pro rider?
It takes, basically these days, it takes a bit of support and a bit of guidance, I suppose. The way I like to do it back in the day with you guys was really just give you everything that you needed and make it as easy as possible for you. Give you a few tips along the way and that. But like you said, for me, way back, it wasn't as competitive really. And I started winning a few races and then just getting a little bit of support from a shop and then winning more races, getting a bit more support from like a manufacturer in the UK, and then obviously went on to a pro team a few years later, but I had to build up for a long time to get there. Younger riders these days, the same thing. Mum and dad take them to races, they start doing well and people start noticing them.
And I guess, nowadays all the bikes are good. If you've got deep enough pockets, you can buy a really good race bike.
Definitely, yeah.
So it's not necessarily that gets them to pro, but I guess it is like, say, we're seeing it with the youngsters, it's maybe having a bit of support from a pro rider, a bit of an older guy or girl to help out, and a mechanic and all those little things. It's the mental game that really helps them on, I suppose.
Yeah, I think a mechanic and all that stuff, you've obviously got parents helping you out and all that stuff along the way, but it's not the be-all and end-all, and I think for me as well, that like getting the best bike possible is not the be-all and end-all. If you've got talent and you're passionate about it, you go out and you have a good structure, you ride your bike loads and you do the right sort of training, a bit of sprint training and stuff like that, then you can get there, and then mechanic and all that sort of stuff can come a little bit later when you do get support from a team.
All right, here with Liv. Taylor, how old are you, Liv?
11.
And how long have you been riding and racing?
I've been riding for about 3 years now and doing racing for like 2 years.
And how do you like being on the Muck-Off Young Guns team?
It's a really good setup, like really good supported, and it's just a good laugh like at races.
And have you got other friends here racing as well?
Yeah, I'm quite good friends with Molly Ruskins in my category, and a lot of the boys in juvenile I know too.
And what's your sort of race ambitions? You're going to do all the rest of the British Nationals, but do you know what you want to go on and do? Do you think you want to go and race World Cups one day?
Yeah, it'd be my dream to go race World Cups.
And who's your favourite rider?
Probably Tani.
That's amazing. Right, Paul, tell us about the Muck-Off Young Guns team.
Started a couple of years ago as the Green Snow Collective, but the concept is really to support younger riders who are on that journey and the pathway where they've got energy and a bit of style about them and they can inspire other riders. So the concept is to find some young talent, nurture them and bring them through to, like we are with Luca and Luca, really, at World Cup level.
So it's been, in this pit, there's a whole mix of, super keen parents. Then there's the sort of bigger factory teams. I guess you're kind of filling that middle ground of, not putting them in front of, a lot of pressure or anything like that, but helping them do their best, I guess.
Yeah, there's two or three levels to sponsorship, isn't there, at a young age? You've got the young riders who are sponsored by a shop or a couple of component brands where they get some kit, and then you've got teams where you can buy into it. So the parents will, buy essentially a ride on the team, which is, you get a bigger presence. And then what we're trying to do is give them everything they need, all the tools and what have you, and the bikes and all the kit they need, but keep them out of that environment where their peers are all looking at them and staring at them. So, you'd have seen today, we've got our pit area, but they're in the main area, everyone's playing football, messing around and just keeping that energy that youngsters have.
And there's still quite a big barrier, getting even to the race is quite an expensive thing. And the bikes are expensive, so you're helping those guys out with the bikes?
Yeah, so the vision with what we did with Green Snow, but more importantly with Muck-Off, is kind of a bit of a 3 to 5 year programme where we're supporting youngsters, the ones that we find, but also we're going to start looking for talent that maybe haven't even got onto a mountain bike yet. So who's the kid in London that has got something, but one hasn't had the chance to do it, nor can they afford to do it, and we want to put together a programme that allows them and the family the funding to come and enjoy the sport, because, you know, it is an expensive sport, and there's a lot of youngsters rolling around on incredibly expensive bikes, and I mean, that shouldn't put people off. You know, there's some amazing talent out there that probably, you know, don't get unearthed because they don't have the means to buy the bikes and stuff. And then also, one of the programme pieces for next year is not just the riders, but with Muck Off, we want to find the kids that are really into the engineering side. And so how do we coach them to be a mechanic for the team and what have you? And then the same with editing. You know, every kid's good with a camera these days. So we want to get some of them behind the camera, doing the filming, doing the editing. And so that into 3-4 years' time, we end up with a, you know, World Cup team that's basically the whole thing is a product of what we've created. So it's the racers, the mechanics, the video team are all youngsters that we brought through.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think that's amazing. That's a real big difference. You know, I'm kind of a bit older than the racers here, but there's a lot of my peer group that grew up in these pits racing bikes, and there's a good handful of us that are doing different roles within the mountain bike industry. Yeah. It's not all about pro racing. There's people that own shops, work on brands. There's an awful lot of jobs that can be within the mountain biking world.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, the whole reason for the Green Snow Collective before it became Muck Off Young Guns was I was away with Alex, who owns Muck Off, and my friend Darren, who's the owner of Silverfish, a distributor for Mondraker and what have you. And we were talking about mountain biking, and we're all mid-40s now, but we all got into racing when we were 14, 15. Racing little local races and some weird downhill races at QE Country Park and stuff on hardtails. And so my conversation with them was, you know, you rely on the youngsters to engage with social, and they're about building your brand, but actually we need to support them and do more with them, and that's the game plan. So it's going to be a bit of a journey. It's always hard, you know, one of the biggest challenges we have is that the social media that we do, it's become a home for a lot of youngsters. So every day we're getting questions around what tyres, what bikes, and that's part of it. So we've got to, you know, support more youngsters than just our racers and riders, and that's what we want to do.
It's great to see how much talent there is at British downhill races, and I can't wait to see some of these riders go on and turn pro. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and let me know down below if it's your dream to become a pro mountain biker.